one of the great gifts when you have a guy that really knows who he is. And I think that's Rocco's greatest identity.
A little birdie said Arch might be a little banged up in the shoulder.
Now you want to start talking smack to a Dan Lanning team? I don't understand it.
Is this from?
I don't get it.
It's our pot. I'm going to splash it. Yeah, I'm all in on Duke as my best bet this week.
I think both coaches watched the film on Saturday and Sunday and came to the conclusion this is going to be a bloodbath.
They did not profile like a 10-win team. They profiled like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 to 22-year-olds emotionally ruin me.
I made a call, to Vegas. I said, look, we actually need the favorite here.
Welcome, everyone. Bear Bets Podcast is back. Week 2 college football season. I am your host, the Bear, Chris Felica, joined as always by Sammy P. and Jeff Schwartz. Let's get right into it. One of the things we all love to do after week 1 is overanalyze who we buying, who we selling. One team that I am selling is a team that I really wasn't high on before the year started, and that's South Carolina. And nothing that I saw from South Carolina on Sunday in that win against Virginia Tech really made me feel wrong about my preseason prognostication. I mean, look, Sellers is great, but they had a couple of injuries in the game. We'll see if they're long-term injuries. They had that great opening drive, scripted touchdown. We saw that a lot, 7 plays, 75 yards right off the bat. But after that, they had the long punt return. They had a bomb in the fourth quarter. To me, that was more about bad Virginia Tech than it was good South Carolina. So you look at the schedule, it's a bear the rest of the way, no pun intended, with all those road games that they have and still the game against Clemson. So I still feel pretty good about my under 7.5 South Carolina.
I would too. I want to talk about Syracuse. They're not a good team. They're just not. But
defense look great.
You look at what they did against Tennessee, a team that has the potential to be a decent offense, but is not 493 yards good. That's a problem. 493 yards, and then you look at the schedule at Clemson, Duke, at SMU, at Georgia Tech, North Carolina, which won't be an easy game at that point in the season, Miami, Notre Dame. How does this team get over the win total, guys?
I don't think they do. I mean, they lost so much offensively, right? That's a big problem, and you're not making those guys up at Syracuse, unfortunately. And I think it's an issue.
I'm still mad at them for having first and goal at the 9, and they couldn't get it in the back door for me.
Yeah, you'll be mad about that all season, won't you?
I will.
You'll find a way to make that. Look, we remember all those losses a little bit more sometimes, guys. The team I'm off, and I was high on them. I thought year 2, Deshaun Foster at UCLA was going to be a different story. They landed Nico from Tennessee, who we knew, or at least we thought, right, had that 5-star talent. And guys, after one game, it's not going very well. And I'm not sure it's even a terrible a great Utah team and a bad Bruin team, which could have been a combination of both. But Nico looked sort of completely lost, and that to me is the concern. And we're seeing too that Tennessee players that play in this offense that leave the program and go to the NFL, go other places, just aren't as good. The hyper offense sort of makes these guys maybe better. It's a unique offense. So maybe Nico gets better throughout the season, but 2 for 11 on third down, couldn't block, couldn't rush the ball. I'm very concerned about UCLA, who I thought, especially the way they ended last season, Bear, on a high note, would find a way to start this season fast. And it's a tough Big Ten schedule. I'm terribly concerned that the Bruins are going to have another bad season under Foster.
Yeah, and they couldn't get Utah off the field as well. They were at the Utah 14-16 on third down and scored on every drive except one. When we come back, special guest week 2, head coach of the Iowa State Cyclones, Matt Campbell, ahead of the big Cyhawk game in Ames this Saturday. Big noon kickoff will be there when we come back. Welcome everybody back to Bear Bets as promised before we went to break. Joining us here, happy to have the head coach of the Iowa State Cyclones, Matt Campbell, ahead of the big Cyhawk game where big noon kickoff will be Saturday, Iowa at Iowa State, a great rivalry that I hope people throughout the country can appreciate. And Coach, just a big macro thing about your program. For so long, you were the program, the up-and-comer, and all of a sudden, 2 conference title games in the last 5 years. That's some pretty lofty, there aren't very many teams that can say that. So how is that elevated, not only your program in terms of the players you're now able to get in, but just nationally the stature that this program now has?
Yeah, I think probably a little bit is it's probably been rewarding to be at one place now going on our 10th football season. And I think that's probably hard to find in college football. And we've been so fortunate because we have such great people here. And when you talk about the people from our staff to our support staff, to now, really the retention of our players, it's really given us a chance to really stand for something in college football. And that's really been what we're most proud of. And, we really haven't wavered too far off of what's built our program. Great character, young men that stand and love the game of football, and obviously still understanding the value of excellence in the classroom. Our guys, we have a team GPA of right around a 3.4 GPA, and just really proud of who we are, what we're about. I think we continue to work really hard on our process of what it takes to consistently win week in and week out. And I think that's where the growth has really come over the last couple of years.
Coach, I didn't play football. Look at me. You can make that conclusion yourself. But from afar, when we watch Iowa State, this is a game that's just predicated on physicality and head on head. How do you prepare your players for the physicality of the Cyhawk game?
Yeah, I think this year is unique. I think it's also unique that it's a huge rival game so early in the football season. And obviously two teams in different conferences, and you have this so early, and it means so much to our state and obviously both universities. But I think even this year probably helping a little bit where you had to play a really physical game out the gate, playing over in Ireland with K-State. I think it's kind of transitioned us into, what fall camp had to look like. Obviously, what that process of building that toughness, running the ball, stopping the run, playing great on, punt coverage and kick coverage, and obviously situational football. All those things had to have heightened awareness, just knowing what our early schedule looked like this year. And so I think this year unique because of, having your two biggest rival games right out of the gate of the early part of the season. I think it really tried to demand that intensity and certainly that awareness through fall camp and really through spring football.
Coach, let's talk quarterback. Rocco Beck, what does he allow you to do offensively that really makes him special in what you try to get out of him each and every week?
Yeah, I think, first of all, at the quarterback position, one of the great gifts when you have a guy that really knows who he is. And I think that's Rocco's greatest identity is he's curious. He's a relentless worker. He's always trying to perfect himself. And he's really not trying to be anybody else. He's just trying to be the absolute best version of Rocco that he can be. And I think when you have that, it fuels confidence in everybody in your football program. And then when you step out on Saturdays, it allows you to play a game where you can give Rocco, the flexibility, whether it's in the running game or the passing game, to put you in the best positions, have confidence that he can make the critical plays in the critical moment. And, Rocco's worked really hard to earn the right to have that, really have that confidence and really have that success that he's been able to have so far. So, we're really appreciative. You got to have somebody that certainly has that characteristic of knowing who he is and not trying to be somebody else. And Rocco certainly stands for that in our football program.
One thing about your league, the Big 12, the balance of the league, the depth of the league is incredible. And because of that, it has resulted in a lot of close games for Iowa State over the last few years. How do you get the message across? Like when you lose a close game, you're doing everything right and you just happen to be on the wrong side of the coin flip. The resiliency of your players to bounce back from that. And in the last couple of years, it started to turn around where you're getting on the right side of those coin flips and obviously resulting in a couple of historic seasons. But so many close games, it seems that you guys have been involved in.
Yeah, I think, Chris, really over our last 9 years, it's where we've lived. You've lived in so many of those games. And when we've been at our best, we've had the opportunity to win those games. And, I still think it goes back to how you do everything in your program. And, I think we are relentless on the process in January, February, March of perfecting yourself, how you come to work every day, what you look like in strength and conditioning, what you look like in nutrition, what you look like in academics, to spring practice and how critical fundamental growth is in your success. Still, those games are won in critical moments in the fundamentals and the detail, and then really springboarding into fall camp where you really grind away at the situational football, where situations, the middle 8, 2-minute drills, third down, fourth down, conversions in fourth and third down defense, winning in the red zone, all those things, they all matter. And the reality, the more we can have confidence and have success in those areas, then the more we've got the opportunity to make those one-score wins, make those one-score games become major wins for our football team.
Thanks for taking some time out on a very busy, big week of football out there. Can't wait to get out to Ames on Thursday night and get out to the facility on Friday and check it all out. Big noon kickoff Saturday morning, Iowa State live from just outside Jack Trice. Coach Campbell, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell, for joining us. That game will be on Fox, 12 Eastern. Big noon kickoff with Bear will be there as well. Another big game around the country, Michigan at Oklahoma. Oklahoma 4.5-point favorite as of right now. That number sort of fluctuating, keeps going down. Michigan off that big win last week, and Oklahoma hosting Michigan here. First Michigan road game, non-conference Bear, since 2018.
It's crazy to think that it's been 7-8 years since Michigan played a non-conference road game. Think of last week's results. You had Arch Manning on the road, inexperienced quarterback at Ohio State, struggled. They lost. Ty Simpson at Alabama went on the road. Florida State struggled, lost. CJ Carr on the road at Miami struggled early and then played really well by the end of the game, but Notre Dame lost. Similar situation here with Bryce Underwood, inexperienced type quarterback on the road against the Brent Venables defense that should be very aggressive and looking to limit his ability to get out and create. It's the only ranked matchup of the weekend. I think this is a lower scoring type game. 44.5 is getting to the point of where it might not be playable, but I have a hard time thinking that this is a game where potentially both teams are in the 20s.
Marcus certainly agrees with you. Opened 47.5 on the total. Now we're down 3 whole points. I don't know if we get the buyback. I want to find out from Bryce Underwood. I want to see it. So I'm going to throw a couple chips here on Oklahoma. -4.5. Right. Now, remember, this line opened in Vegas at 3. Oklahoma -3. Got all the way out to 7. And then you saw another group come in and take the 7. So Goldilocks always thought that third porridge was just right. -3 wasn't right. Yeah. -7 wasn't right. Now we're at 4.5. I'm going to lay it.
Hit the one in the middle.
Yes, exactly. I'm targeting Michigan's team total here, guys. I think if you were to assign a grade for Bryce Underwood's first start, for him, the coaching staff, everyone involved, A+, right? It was a great first start for an 18-year-old, but it was a very controlled game plan. It was run the football. It was play action pass. It was single reads. When things got a little bit tougher, those third and long situations, it wasn't as good, correct? Go to Oklahoma now with that defense. They're going to force him to be in third and long. Now, I do worry about Bryce Underwood being able to use his legs, but this is a very difficult spot for an 18-year-old on the road. It's a very tough place to play with that defense. I think Michigan is not going to move the ball quite we saw last weekend, and it's going to be a tough go for them. So I'm on their team total under. I don't know if I can throw some chips here later. I'll save them for our next wager. I think Michigan just has trouble scoring in this game, and it does feel like an under game. Let's turn our attention to another Big Ten team, guys, on the road here. Your Illinois team, your Illinois Fighting Illini on the road.
Oh, I can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
I stopped. I did
Duke,
stop.
Number is now Duke +3.5, right, Sammy?
This number has been fighting around the 3. So we did see earlier in the week, they took the 3, went down to 2.5. And now as we get closer to kickoff, we're seeing more 3.5. I was happy to take 3.5 this morning. 3.5 was very nice. Good luck against this Manny Diaz defense. I don't want to go all in, but I don't know. I mean, 5 chips is not that many.
Only 2 made it, though.
I like Duke.
Good.
If Altmaier beats me on the road, I'll live with it. I think this game should be a pick'em. So I like Duke. I took the points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna. It's our pot. I'm gonna splash it. Yeah, I'm all in on Duke as my best bet this week. I think the number is telling you that Duke is the right side. A field goal team ranked 12th in the country on the road. Remember, Duke had tied at halftime last week with Elon. It was a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. But if you look at Mensa's numbers, they started slow. But the second half, I don't think he missed a pass. He threw for almost 400 yards. I think that passing game, look, we've seen Illinois' defense give up some big plays last year. We'll see if defense is any better through the air. But, I think the number is kind of telling you Duke's the right side.
I think they're going to struggle to throw the ball. Remember, they lost 2 receivers to the NFL. I don't think they're going to be able to run on Duke. Altmaier's got to beat me on the road.
One of the big talking points for Illinois this year was their offensive line, right? 5 guys returning. This is a note I got from someone who watched them, and I trust this guy. Illinois was leaky, fair amount of missed assignments on basic stuff. Stunts challenge them both in run and pass. Doesn't feel great against a Manny Diaz defense, doesn't it? And I think you would want a group that's returning that many guys to come out very strong. And so I don't know if it's great that all 3 of us are on Duke here, especially at 3.5. But
Manny will love it.
I also think it's worth pointing out. Look, Duke's offense did start slow, which is fine. It's a new
first game
quarterback, right? And then they went touchdown, 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 touchdown. And I don't know if they're going to score 4 touchdowns in the second half against Illinois, but I do think that the bubble might burst here for the Illinois college football playoff crowd, Bear.
It's funny. Someone actually threw out the other day, like could Duke potentially be a sleeper type team in the ACC because the schedule kind of breaks their way. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go there, but you got to remember Mensa was one of the most decorated and desired quarterbacks in the portal this year.
We all had Miami last week. I understand. You watch a TV show and all the guys say the same thing.
Right.
We all had Miami last week. I wanted to show my Bugs Bunny shirt off for everybody. Look at that.
I love that. I love that shirt.
All got home.
Easy. It was a great Sunday night.
All right, now it's time for the Super Six, sponsored by DraftKings. It focuses on the Cy-Hawk game. Bear, we both have columns coming out, breaking down this game. And the question will be, what will the outcome of the Cy-Hawk game be?
These games typically have been close, low-scoring games, and you'd expect nothing less from what Coach Campbell just talked about, the physicality of the game and the great offensive lines and special teams of Iowa. You go back 6 straight, 14 of the last 16 Cy-Hawk games have gone under the total. If you look at the last 3, the totals have been 36.5, 35, and 39, and they've all gone under, and it really hasn't been close.
Yeah.
So I hate banking on a trend. Like only once in the last 10 years have both teams reached 20 points in the game. So, I mean, there are some trends that you could kind of throw out and not pay attention to. But I think here you look at it like it doesn't matter what class comes in, who the coaches are, where the game is. They have been close, low-scoring games. So if you're going to give me 41.5 or maybe – if we can find a 42 out there, take it. I'd go under.
This probably keeps going down, though.
I would think so.
People watching this on Thursday night, Friday morning, you still might have 41.5, but there's a very good chance you flip the TV on Saturday morning and this total's 40 or 39.5. So if you do like the under, this is probably not one you want to wait on. The Iowa Hawkeyes are the equivalent of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The money just comes in on the under all week long, and by the time limits go up, people bet more and more. So I don't think it's going to go up. I see some offshores at 40.5 already, so just be ready.
I know that between week 1 and week 2, we often see the most improvement on the roster, right? Just the way it typically works, and then you sort of are what you are. There's, of course, improvement over the months. It certainly happened that way. But guys, Iowa's offense, they played the Albany Great Danes. And their quarterback was 8 of 15 for 44 yards.
And they were very, there was a lot of buzz about Gronowski coming in from the FCS level, and they just looked incapable of completing a forward pass in the first half.
In the second half either, he came out of the game in the fourth quarter with just over the fourth quarter with 14 minutes left in the game. He came out and they were up. They scored 27 points. And I just go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and remember the Iowa State defense in that game over in Dublin against Avery Johnson did a really good job until the fourth quarter when things got out of hand. They did a good job shutting down the Kansas State pass game.
So I basically get Iowa State, who has played a rivalry game already and won, with a much better quarterback and much better, I think, just offensive situation. Look, they came back from Ireland and won 55-7. I know South Dakota, but Kansas State barely beat North Dakota, right? Like, I think Iowa State's playing really good football right now. I trust them offensively a little bit better. Yes, this game is weird, right? Special teams matter. There's like weird things happen in this game, just like your Steelers point where the Steelers win games without scoring on offense. I just don't buy Iowa in this game. And I'm going to look dumb when this game is 17-14. But I just don't do it. I can't buy Iowa in this game.
There's going to come a time in this game when Iowa has the ball at the Iowa State 38 on fourth down, and Kirk's going to call in the punt team, and somebody's going to lose their minds on the over. I guarantee it.
He'll have a net 18-yard punt after it goes in the end zone.
It's so funny you mentioned that, and you mentioned anything can happen. You can mention punt. The Cy-Hawk game that I went to in Ames, oh gosh, I forget what year it was. We would do a couple. The game was delayed for like 6 hours because of an awful weather situation. And then the game ultimately, they play it and was decided on an Iowa punt that an Iowa State punt returner muffed off of his leg.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago, wasn't it? They ran into each other, I think.
So anything can happen. Punting, Cy-Hawk is for you.
Bear, You're going to be there. I'm looking forward to watching you on the coverage. What are the food choices there in Ames? Is it a good food place or not?
There is. It's a great restaurant in Ames called Provisions Lot F. And my concern is I'm not going to get there.
Oh, no.
Because we're staying in Des Moines.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State's head coach, tried to audit Oregon spending in the NIL. As Oregon plays Oklahoma State this weekend, his number has jumped to like 29 now. Maybe it's back to 28.5, Sammy. Mike Gundy tried his best to basically building excuses starting on Monday about why they're going to get their asses kicked this weekend against Oregon. And it's going to be a bloodshed. Look, this is a Power 4 game, okay? Both Power 4 teams. The number is 29 right now, maybe 28.5, Sammy. I know Oregon, I think, is 27th in your power ratings. How do you have this game?
No, they're not.
No, only 22nd.
I have them 8th in the country, which is a little bit higher than I had them coming into the season. What's the answer at quarterback? Because Oklahoma State's quarterback is out with a broken foot. So they go to the backup, and somebody told me, well, there's not that big of a drop-off. There probably is.
There is.
And I don't understand why you want to rile up the monster in this game. You know you're probably going to lose. Now you want to start talking smack to a Dan Lanning team? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Does this remind you of the Colorado Oklahoma game?
Oregon,
where we're like, and then it comes out afterwards, they're looking for clicks and we're looking for like this could get really, really ugly.
I think both coaches watched the film on Saturday and Sunday and came to the conclusion this is going to be a bloodbath. And Gundy started blaming NIL, right? He even said his quarterback will not be bothered by the atmosphere at Autzen, which again, I just wouldn't say those things. And then Lanning, I think, also responded knowing he's going to win too. Mm-hmm. And this does feel like Oregon, Colorado in a sense.
I was just going to say that the last team to pull this crap on social media or in a press conference got murdered.
Yeah.
Murdered.
It was bad. I was going to bring my jersey in today. I'm going to save it, Bear. Jersey Jeff will come out at some point this year.
Penn State week.
It's either Penn State week, but I think that's going to be a tough game for us. Yeah. It could be big noon kickoff is next week in Chicago for Oregon Northwestern. So I will be. I'm coming. I'm going. It'll be a lot of fun there to see the Ducks. And that's the one benefit of them being in the Big Ten is really that the games are closer to me. So I can fly into Chicago, Sammy's old stomping ground, and get an opportunity to watch them play. Arizona State. In the Big Ten, obviously, we know ranked, had a great year last year on the road at Mississippi State. They're laying 6.5. Number feels weird. And in these situations, feels like you should bet on the underdog in this spot. This number feels too low, Bear. What do you make of the number starting off with this game?
We talked about Mississippi State Southern Miss during the summer about how I laid 10 with Mississippi State. That number came down, and then I laid 10 with Mississippi State last week. And that was kind of a deceiving final. That game against Southern Miss last week was a blowout. Mississippi State really dominated the game. And remember last year's game against ASU early in the year on the road in Tempe. That really sent Bully into the old spiral. Scattaboo ran for like 260 in the game. Leavitt didn't even need to throw. We'll see. It feels like it would be dog or pass for me here in a revenge spot with Chapin now at quarterback. Levy really did a lot of work in the transfer portal. They are infinitely improved from where they were a year ago. If I can still find a 7, I'd love to find a 7. I don't think we're going to get. Maybe are we going to get one again?
Could get back there. Not right now, but by the time we get to Saturday, you might. 6.5 everywhere. Some 6.
Did you see Arizona State practicing for this game with the cowbell?
Absolutely. I wish I had my cowbell.
I understand that, like, you do that. Like, I get it. That's what teams do. You play the noise. You play the fight song even, right? Like, there's a situation where you hear teams. The cowbell thing was. The video was bad. You need to like have a better video of something like the cowbell practice. It was just like someone just like sort of kind of quietly ringing the cowbell. I'm almost out on them for that purpose.
You want food, by the way? Little Dewey.
Little Dewey?
Starkville. Yeah, great barbecue.
We should, you know what we should do? We should have wherever you're going for that week, the food should be here on Thursday. So if you're going to Iowa State, like we should get someone to send us food of the so next week's Chicago, obviously.
I know some spots in Chicago.
I was gonna say, can we get either a Giordano's deep dish or a little Gene and Georgetti's?
That'd be a great way to promote Big Noon Kickoff, right? That'd be an awesome way to promote Big Noon Kickoff is having the food, especially it's lunchtime. I'm ready to have a little food. Look, I think Arizona State in this game again. Scatterboo did so much for them last season. You're not going to replace that guy. I mean, the leading rusher really, I guess they tied, but it was Leavitt with 73 yards against Northern Arizona. I don't think that's the spot you want to be in all the time, to have your quarterback do everything for you. And Mississippi State started well last week. I think Arizona State's prime for an upset in this spot. I'm not sure I like them here. All right, Sammy, border showdown, border war. What are we doing here?
I got an email that said be careful about calling it the border war. So
you got an email about
not
it?
from anybody at Fox.
Oh, I know that, but like
you know how these emails.
The Missouri Compromise with the 50-51-50 parallel, right?
This is so the Civil War the name was changed, right? Like, and then they split conferences, and now it's back to Civil War for whatever reason. So maybe they have to like do something with conferences realignment again.
Red River showdowns, the Red River rivalry.
I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all.
I was quick to upgrade Kansas. And if anybody watched the first episode of Bear Bets, we talked about laying the 12 with the Jayhawks. And I heard a lot on social media, you can't lay 12 with Kansas. Watch me.
Thank you.
And then they pounded Fresno. And I've liked the way that they've looked, not only on offense, but I think on the defensive line.
Much better.
Got some guys. And this total's actually, you would think, Kansas, Missouri, big number. This total opened at 53. And now we're down to 50.5. I think that's good for Kansas. You know how I feel about Leipold. I think he's building something down there. Last year was sort of an aberration to me. This Kansas team, I'm really falling for him this year. I'm taking 6.5.
Yeah, I like your thought there, because I think what you saw from Kansas late in the year last year is the Kansas that we've seen carry over. Daniels was kind of all the different coordinator changes and coaching staff changes that they had.
He was hurt
early in there. He was hurt, and now you get Lubick and some of those guys back. Yeah, I think Kansas is a very, very dangerous dog here.
Can I make it all the way over there?
Yeah, you can. I'll do it for you.
All right, bang.
Look, I know that every year is its own year in sports. A lot in football, mostly in NFL, but in college. Look, you mentioned last year. At the end of the year, Kansas beat ranked Iowa State, BYU, and then we had them against Colorado big in that game. If you recall, you were on Kansas a bunch last year. It just didn't work out early in the season, and they got better. And Daniels looks the part again. And when your quarterback plays that way, the whole team buys in a little bit more. You need that guy to have that juice a little bit, so the defense plays better. And you're on the field a little bit longer. The defense is a little fresher. So, and Prebula,
he was all right last week.
He was okay last week.
Who'd they play?
Exactly.
Someone. I'm a little bit leery of like backup quarterback at a team that really wasn't going to see the field going somewhere else and becoming really good. Do we have a lot of situations like that in college football? Where like backup, like guy he was never a start for Penn State to go somewhere else and becomes good at the other program. We don't have that a ton, right? Starters transfer and they become good somewhere else. But like the backup quarterback, I just don't know how much I trust him in some of these bigger games.
Moore was a backup quarterback.
Who was?
Dante Moore was a backup quarterback at UCLA.
He started like 5 games that year.
But there's also
your boy messed with them.
Let's throw this in there too. There's also this high perception on Missouri because of what Missouri did last year. So you're still sort of paying that Missouri tax, but not big enough to open this game 7, Bear. They didn't open at 7. Just under that 7.
Yeah, it's a spot that I would take the 6.5 here with Kansas. The SEC as a whole this week, there are a bunch of games that I don't necessarily know if I want to take the dog, but I will be very hesitant in laying big numbers. LSU coming off of that massive win last week at Clemson, 37.5-point favorite. I think they are this week against Louisiana Tech. Have Florida next week. Texas A&M, a massive favorite over Bronco Mendenhall in Utah State at Kyle Field. They go to South Bend next week. Tennessee plays an FCS school, ETSU. I don't even see a number up yet for that game. And they got Georgia coming in next week. So, like, those are 3 SEC games where, like I said, I don't know if I'd want to take it would be dog or pass for me. I certainly wouldn't be looking to lay north of 5 touchdowns with any of those teams.
No, I mean, the only one that I mentioned, and I will mention, is Texas. I think Texas was going to beat San Jose State, but I only have a look ahead spot, so I wouldn't be there. Sammy, a little early in the week for this, but FCS, what do we got after last weekend?
You have to stay tuned to the newsletter Friday morning.
After last weekend, that was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago? The Stony Brook one.
Oh, Stony Brook was bad. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, they didn't score a point. They had 6 first downs. It's all right. These plays are up over time.
That game.
The Ivy League ones don't start for like 2 more weeks.
I know. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
Speaking of your boys, the Aztecs, that game, it seems like it looks like they're betting that game with tomorrow's newspaper. Like Wazoo is all the way down to 1 now.
Well, Wazoo barely beat Idaho. That's the problem. I think Wazoo and Oregon
Is
State.
Rob Akey still the head coach at Idaho?
No, he left. I think they have someone new this year.
Okay.
I think the Cougars and the Beavers, not that this show's about the former Pac-12 schools, I think they're just getting a world of hurt in general. Like they're not good. They're not good. Malik Murphy. I mean that was bad. I got dunked on by the Cal. I still can't believe
that was the tweet of the week. By the way, we need to get him as a guest on the podcast.
He did get you good.
Yeah, he did. I deserved it. I said they would suck. They wouldn't score points. They scored 34.
So I don't have an FCS play for you. Again, you can find it in my newsletter. But Kent State's basically an FCS team, right, guys?
Yes. I almost got home with that. It was sort of a joke, and Merrimack almost won. Merrimack?
That number is 48. Texas Tech is laying it against Kent State. That could easily be 70-7.
Well, that'll ultimately determine how much Baron Morton plays if he does play.
But even then, like
it doesn't merely matter though.
So the backup's really good. Okay. He's a 5-star recruit.
They beat Pine Bluff by 60 last weekend. Is Kent State that much better than Arkansas Pine Bluff? Like that's
yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. I think that's well, I'll have to pull up the old Sagarin ratings.
I'm looking at Bill Conley's SP.
I was going to say Connolly or Sagarin will have either one of those.
So, all right, guys. I think we hit all the games, right? We hit the ones that we're wagering on, which is always important here. We'll get to our 2-minute drill in a second, our best bets, and we'll wrap up our show. All right, we're back. We're going to do our 2-minute drill now, and then get to our best bets at the end. All right, Bear, you're leading us off for the 2-minute drill here. What is a total you like for this weekend?
I think the current numbers that are available, Texas San Jose State under 52.5 is a number that I really like. I think you probably see Texas maybe start a little lethargic off of the emotional game, the loss at Ohio State last week. Probably run the ball a lot. Little birdie said Arch might be a little banged up on his shoulder. So maybe
are we breaking news?
He's going to be fine, but I don't think he was 100% going into that Ohio State game. And then you look at San Jose State last week, lost to Central Michigan, turned the ball over, did not look good. A lot of people like Ken Niumatalolo's team going into the year, but that was a bad loss. I could see this being like a 42-7 type win for Texas.
I hope it's 40-0 because I have a wager on that game in a little bit. So I'm with you on the under, though. I don't think San Jose scores. All right, I have a USC's team total here over 44.5. So let's talk USC. One thing they do really well under Lincoln Riley is they score a ton of points against these non-conference teams at home. Since 2022, 66 against Rice, 45 Fresno State, 56 San Jose State, Nevada 66, 40 against Utah State last season, and 73 against Missouri State. Thanks, Bear, for the USC wager last weekend.
That worked out. I love it when they're that easy.
I might go back in that direction. And by the way, the starting offense played one half in that game last weekend. They brought in the 5-star. They did a line change. Georgia Southern allowed 42 points to Fresno State last weekend, who scored, 7 at Kansas the week before. So, Sammy, I got USC here over 44.5 points.
This total is moving literally as we speak. In the production meeting yesterday, I said 56.5. It is now 57.5 and 58. That's Memphis and Georgia State. Fireworks. Sort of like the Energizer Bunny against the Energizer Bunny. Speed all over the field. Quarterbacks that could throw the deep ball. I think we get home runs in this game, and I do like the over. Let's call it 57.5. But those that know that I did give a better number.
All right, Bear. Let's get to our underdog most likely to win. What do you got?
I got Michigan. Again, do I feel super about it? Maybe no. I mean, I think Duke is going to beat Illinois, but we're going to get to that later. We already talked about that earlier in the show about that being my best bet. But if you want another one, Michigan plus about 175 on the money line at Oklahoma. The Michigan defense is a huge step up in class from what Oklahoma placed last week. You watched that game, the film of the Oklahoma offensive line last week. They did not look like a typical Oklahoma offensive line. They really couldn't run the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to run on Michigan. I think it's going to be a pretty motivated Michigan team to come in there, and I think they give, at the very least, Oklahoma a scare with a chance, I think, to win the game.
Talked about this game earlier. I'm taking Mississippi State at home, nearly plus 200-ish, right? Right now is
Clanger.
We talk.
Clanger.
We talked about this game earlier. I just think the situation works out well for Mississippi State and sort of the fate of Arizona State off their big year last season. Sammy, what's your underdog moneyline winner here?
Can we still call it the border war, or did they change that one too?
Call it what it's
call whatever you want.
We can call it
Well, I heard it's now the border showdown.
Oh, no.
I heard border war is no longer
Okay.
whatever. Kansas. I think this is going to be the last team to touch the ball wins. Could very easily be Mizzou up 3. Kansas gets the ball. Jalen Daniels goes down the field. Give me the Jayhawks. Lance has maybe a 9-win team this year in Lawrence. I like Kansas.
This is a really underrated, under the radar type of game. I don't know if this game should be getting a lot more recognition than it is. I mean, Prula played pretty well last week, and these are two schools that don't like each other.
It will be a lot of fun this weekend to watch. All right, Bear, let's wrap up with our best bets. What do you got for us?
I already mentioned earlier in the show, Duke +3 against Illinois. If you can find the 3.5, obviously take that. I think this game should be closer to a pick, like Sammy said. My guy Manny Diaz, I think that defense in Mensa plays well on the offensive side of the ball. Virginia Tech in a pick'em. You can find pick some places it's -1 against Vandy. Vandy beat Virginia Tech last year, kind of kickstarted their win of all those close games that they won. Virginia Tech's defense actually played really well Sunday against South Carolina. Now, Kyron Drones in the offense, that was a little bit of a different story. But I think coming back to Blacksburg off of that loss last week, revenge from last year, I think the Hokies get the win at Lane Stadium. And then Texas San Jose State under the 52.5 for all of the reasons that I just mentioned about that. I think Texas just runs the ball right down their throat.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Give me Duke. I love the points there. Give me the 3. How about Kansas +6.5? And then let's go to that Oklahoma-Michigan game. Oklahoma -4.5 or 5, depending on what you get. I like 4.5 more than I like 5. But piggyback on Bear. I love Duke. Take the points with Duke.
I got 3. I've given most of them out. Michigan team total under 20.5 is my favorite of the weekend. I like Texas -36.5. I think they bounce back in a big way. They blow these teams out in these situations. And third, the USC team total over 44.5.
Hopefully a bunch of winners. I think we had a pretty good week. I know we were 4-3 on the Bear Bets community college super contest last week, so that worked out well. Hopefully we can put together a 5-2 or 6-1. So again, appreciate everybody watching on FS1 on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Bear Bets Pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And remember, most importantly, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win.